Every era has its thinkers. Some pass quietly, their voices lost to the dust of time, while others echo so loudly that generations they never knew are forced to confront their questions. These rare minds pierce the ordinary, disrupt comfort, and demand we reconsider what we think we know. They remind us that knowledge is not a fixed destination, but an unending journey, a relentless pursuit of understanding that can be as uncomfortable as it is necessary. Think of the men and women who walk through marketplaces, courtyards, and city squares, asking questions no one else dared to ask. Questions that challenged kings, challenged philosophers, challenged the very assumptions upon which societies were built. These thinkers did not seek applause. They did not crave popularity. They were seekers of truth, navigators of doubt, and explorers of human understanding. And yet, the world has always had a complicated relationship with truth. We claim to value it, yet recoil when it unsettles us. We say we want honesty, yet we often embrace only the truths that soothe our pride, validate our biases, and confirm our comfort. History is filled with those who dared to ask, to probe, to uncover, and were met with fear, resistance, and at times, silence. Some were banished. Some were condemned. Some were, tragically, made examples of. 2,400 years ago, one man walked barefoot through the streets of Athens. He asked questions that shook the foundations of his city. He asked, "What is justice? What is virtue? What is the good life?" And through these questions, he illuminated not only the ignorance of others but the ignorance within ourselves. He revealed that wisdom begins with the courage to admit how little we truly know. Today, we live in a world that is both more connected and more divided than ever before. Microphones amplify every thought. Screens carry voices across continents in an instant. News spreads faster than understanding. And yet, the same questions echo through time. Do we really love the truth, or only the truths that make us comfortable? Do we cherish inquiry, or do we punish it when it challenges us? So, we return to that haunting question, a question that refuses to be silenced by centuries, by technology, or by culture. Would Socrates survive in the age of cancel culture? Would the man who dared to challenge kings, philosophers, and the ordinary citizens alike withstand a world driven by outrage, hashtags, and instant judgment? Would his questions be welcomed, ignored, or condemned? Today, we embark on that exploration. We walk alongside the unexamined life. We confront the uneasy spaces between knowledge and belief, between comfort and courage, between silence and speech. And in doing so, we do not seek easy answers. We do not seek comfort. We seek the question itself. 2,400 years ago, a man walked barefoot through the streets of Athens. He did not march with armies, nor did he construct monuments that would last through the centuries. He carried nothing but questions, questions that would ripple through time and challenge the very foundations of human thought. This man, Socrates, moved among citizens with an urgency born not of self-interest, but of concern for the soul of his city. He asked what few dared to ask: what is truth? What is justice? What does it mean to live a good life? He did not write books. He did not codify laws. His legacy was not built from stone or ink, but from the impact of thought on those willing to listen. He forced his fellow citizens to confront the uncomfortable, the unseen, and the unspoken. To stand in front of him was to be asked to examine oneself, to question not only the world outside but the assumptions within. And while some fled his probing gaze, many were shaken to their core, their certainties laid bare. But even brilliance invites resistance. The city that nurtured him also grew weary of him. For every citizen inspired, there was another unsettled. For every mind awakened, there was another ego bruised. Socrates' questions did not merely entertain curiosity, they challenged authority, questioned tradition, and unsettled power. His courage lay not in rebellion for its own sake, but in the relentless pursuit of understanding, in the unwillingness to accept falsehoods cloaked as wisdom. And so, the city of Athens, confronted by a truth it could not fully embrace, chose silence, not the quiet of reflection, but the deadly quiet of elimination. Socrates' enemies did not merely debate him, they condemned him. His truth was perceived as a threat. His questioning was branded corruption. And the method of his removal was merciless, poison. A final act meant to end not just a life, but an idea, a voice, a challenge to the comfortable illusions of society. Yet even in death, Socrates' questions endured. They traveled across generations, transcending geography, politics, and culture. They remind us that the courage to ask the difficult question is timeless. They demand that we look inward as we look outward, that we weigh comfort against conscience, and that we consider whether society punishes those who illuminate its blind spots. Now, imagine that same figure, the unyielding seeker of truth, stepping into our world. Would the same courage withstand a society armed not with poison, but with pixels, tweets, and trending hashtags? Would he thrive in a culture that measures value in likes and outrage rather than inquiry and understanding? Or would his voice, too sharp, too uncompromising, be drowned in the clamor of modern judgment? Socrates walked the streets of Athens to awaken minds. He spoke not to dominate, but to illuminate. And in doing so, he left behind a question as urgent today as it was in his own time. What are we willing to risk to confront the truth? Fast forward over 2 millennia. The streets of Athens have faded into history, and yet the questions that once echoed through its marble courtyards find new life in an entirely different world. Today, microphones are louder than ever. Platforms stretch across the globe. Every voice can reach millions in an instant. Every opinion can be amplified, dissected, and challenged with a speed that Socrates could never have imagined. And yet, the same tension remains. Do we truly seek the truth, or merely the truths that comfort us? Consider the modern landscape, a digital agora where ideas are shared and contested, yet often with little patience for complexity. Threads unravel on Twitter, debates ignite on YouTube, and live streams erupt into conflict, all under the watchful eye of millions of observers. Here, public opinion is swift, often unforgiving. Context is compressed into a character limit, nuance is sacrificed for virality, and every statement can become a headline, every thought a judgment. In this world, the pursuit of truth is no longer a quiet conversation among curious minds, it is a performance, a negotiation between understanding and outrage. Now imagine Socrates in this environment. A man whose method was relentless questioning, whose goal was clarity and awareness, who challenged the assumptions of kings, philosophers, and citizens alike. Would he adapt to our world of instant feedback and trending hashtags? Would his probing questions be embraced, or would they spark the digital equivalent of public trials? For Socrates did not simply ask questions for amusement, he asked them to illuminate ignorance, to provoke reflection, and to awaken a deeper understanding of the self and society. And yet, the world we live in today is paradoxical. On one hand, it celebrates knowledge and expertise. On the other, it punishes those who unsettle the comfortable. Voices that challenge prevailing narratives, that question deeply held beliefs, often find themselves at the center of outrage. Missteps are magnified. Context is overlooked. A lifetime of inquiry can be reduced to a single tweet or an excerpted clip. The court of public opinion is relentless, and the punishment is immediate, a flood of comments, a storm of condemnation, and sometimes, the erasure of presence itself. So we return to the central question: would Socrates survive in this modern world? The man who shook Athens with questions, who faced death for the sake of understanding, would now confront algorithms, trending hashtags, and viral outrage. His voice, uncompromising and unyielding, would challenge comfort and certainty alike. But would society listen, or would it silence him before his message could take root? Would we defend the courage to question, or would we click, scroll, and condemn, seeking satisfaction in judgment rather than insight? In the end, the digital agora is both familiar and foreign. It echoes the ancient streets of Athens, where inquiry was dangerous and truth was contested. But it also magnifies the stakes, transforming philosophical inquiry into a public spectacle. And as we navigate this world, we must ask ourselves, are we seekers of truth, or are we spectators of outrage? Would the spirit of Socrates, fearless, persistent, unrelenting, endure, or would it be drowned in the noise of modern judgment? Imagine Socrates walking among us today, a man armed not with scrolls, but with a microphone, a camera, and the endless reach of the internet. Perhaps he would run a podcast called The Unexamined Life, each episode a spark meant to ignite reflection, each question a mirror held up to society. Every post, every tweet, every video would challenge not only the assumptions of others but also the illusions we hold about ourselves. He would provoke thought, not for applause, but for awakening. In this modern parallel society, we live in constant connection, yet paradoxically, in constant disconnection. Screens separate us from one another, yet amplify every reaction. Algorithms decide what we see, and what we don't. Content is ranked not by its depth, but by its ability to trigger emotion, outrage, or agreement. In such a world, the courage to question, to unsettle, becomes a dangerous currency. Those who provoke thought may inspire, but they also risk being misunderstood, misrepresented, and ultimately, silenced. Socrates would not fear being misunderstood. Indeed, he might welcome it. Misinterpretation is often the first step toward deeper engagement, toward forcing people to reflect on their assumptions. He knew that comfort dulls curiosity, that certainty breeds ignorance, and that true dialogue requires the willingness to confront discomfort. In our age, however, discomfort is met not with reflection, but with denunciation. We label, we judge, and we amplify outrage faster than we allow understanding to form. Consider the creators, thinkers, and educators of today who embody a Socratic spirit. A professor questioning a dominant narrative may face cancellation. A podcaster exploring controversial ideas may be deplatformed. A writer challenging societal norms may encounter relentless backlash. The very act of asking questions, once a noble endeavor, can now feel like stepping onto a battlefield where every misstep is weaponized. And yet, the purpose remains the same: to awaken thought, to illuminate blind spots, to hold a mirror to ourselves. Socrates' method was not meant to insult, but to illuminate. It was not rebellion for its own sake, but a deliberate effort to guide society towards self-awareness. In our parallel society, such effort is often mistaken for provocation. We have created a culture in which questions are judged by their ability to disrupt comfort rather than their capacity to enlighten. Awareness, once a tool for growth, has become a risk, a form of currency that can either elevate or destroy the seeker. So we ask ourselves, if Socrates lived today, would he thrive, or would he be consumed by the very society he sought to illuminate? Would his unrelenting questions spark curiosity, or would they spark outrage? And perhaps more importantly, would we, as a society, possess the courage to engage with him, to listen, to reflect, and to grow, or would we retreat to the safety of agreement, comfort, and conformity? In this modern parallel, the stakes are no less profound than in Athens. The question is not only whether one man could survive, but whether the spirit of inquiry, the relentless pursuit of truth, can endure in a world that prizes judgment over understanding, reaction over reflection, and outrage over contemplation. Socrates once stood before the court of Athens, accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. The charges were grave, the atmosphere tense, and the stakes nothing less than life itself. His method of questioning, his refusal to bow to popular opinion, and his relentless pursuit of truth had unsettled the comfortable and provoked those in power. And so, the city judged him. Yet, it was not merely Socrates' fate that hung in the balance, it was the fate of inquiry itself, the very principle that questioning is essential to human understanding. Now, imagine that courtroom transported into today's world. The trial is no longer confined to marble walls or whispered debates. It is broadcast, live-streamed, and dissected across countless digital platforms. Jurors are everywhere, yet they are nowhere tangible. They are in comment sections, on social media threads, and within the endless feeds of news and opinion. Every post, every retweet, every reaction is a vote in a court that never sleeps. And the sentence, though not delivered with poison, is just as lethal, deplatforming, canceling, erasing, or shaming those who dare to provoke discomfort or challenge consensus. Would Socrates survive such a trial? The man who debated kings, philosophers, and citizens alike would find himself navigating an arena filled with algorithms, outrage, and instantaneous judgment. His words, dissected and clipped, could be taken out of context, weaponized, or misunderstood. Misinterpretation would be constant, and yet he would persist, because for him, truth was never contingent on comfort. He spoke not to appease, but to awaken. But here lies the profound tension. Our modern world values certainty over curiosity. We crave clarity, even when it is false. We demand answers, even when questions are what we truly need. Socrates' approach, to explore, to question, to probe, to illuminate the gaps in understanding, would be met with both fascination and hostility. Some would celebrate his courage, others would condemn him for challenging assumptions, unsettling norms, and forcing reflection where none was welcome. In this digital trial, the poison is public humiliation. The verdict is rendered by clicks, likes, and viral outrage. And the question is no longer merely whether one man survives, but whether society itself can tolerate the discomfort of inquiry. Would we defend the courage to question, or would we delight in his downfall, reassured by the suppression of an inconvenient voice? Would we champion debate, or would we click, scroll, and move on, leaving truth unexamined and curiosity unfulfilled? Socrates' historical martyrdom teaches us that silencing thought does not silence the idea. His questions survived the centuries, traveling through time to challenge each new generation. But in the age of cancel culture, the trial is immediate, relentless, and inescapable. It forces us to confront our own complicity. Are we protectors of inquiry, or are we participants in its suppression? And in reflecting on this, we are left with a haunting realization: the court of public opinion may be far more powerful than any court of law, and the courage to question may be more necessary, and more endangered, than ever before. Socrates believed that wisdom begins when we admit we know nothing. This simple yet profound truth formed the foundation of his philosophy, a principle that guided not just his actions but the way he challenged others to think. To question, to reflect, to confront uncertainty, these were not mere intellectual exercises. They were acts of courage, of humility, and of honesty. Yet, in our modern world, the very notion of uncertainty is often met with discomfort, even hostility. We crave answers, clarity, and certainty, even when such clarity is false or incomplete. Imagine a young creator deleting their social media account, not because they wish to, but because every word they post invites scrutiny, criticism, and judgment. A teacher silenced, afraid to challenge prevailing narratives lest they face backlash. A philosopher, whose work could illuminate minds, standing alone in an empty lecture hall, hesitant to speak. The fear of misunderstanding, the terror of public condemnation, and the weight of viral outrage can smother curiosity before it even begins to breathe. In such a society, the act of questioning, the very essence of philosophy, becomes dangerous. Awareness itself becomes a currency, one that can elevate or destroy, inspire or isolate. Socrates would recognize this struggle, for it mirrors his own trials in Athens. The difference is that the threat today is not a single poison cup, but a relentless flood of opinion, judgment, and digital condemnation. The stakes are no less profound. Silence may protect the individual, but it endangers the collective spirit of inquiry. The deep question, then, is not simply whether one can survive scrutiny, but whether society can survive the suppression of curiosity. If we stifle questions because they are inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging, what remains of our collective understanding? If we punish those who illuminate blind spots, what light remains to guide us? In this age of instant reaction and trending outrage, we risk valuing certainty over understanding, agreement over reflection, and comfort over courage. And yet, hope persists. Even in the shadows of silenced voices, people pause to think. They walk alone with questions, wrestle with uncertainty, and seek understanding beyond the noise. This is the enduring power of inquiry, a force that cannot be entirely suppressed, a spark that survives even in the harshest environment. Socrates' philosophy reminds us that the courage to question, the willingness to embrace uncertainty, and the humility to admit ignorance are not weaknesses, they are the hallmarks of true wisdom. So the challenge is clear: in a world addicted to clarity and quick judgment, can we reclaim the art of questioning? Can we listen before we label, reflect before we react, and seek understanding before we condemn? The deep question is not merely philosophical, it is existential. It asks us to examine ourselves, our culture, and our values. It forces us to confront whether we truly honor thought, curiosity, and dialogue, or whether we are content with the shallow comfort of unquestioned assumptions. Perhaps Socrates would not survive our age. Perhaps the digital storm of outrage, judgment, and instant opinion would overwhelm even the courage of one who walked barefoot through Athens, questioning everything around him. Yet, maybe that is precisely why his voice is more necessary than ever. In a world addicted to certainty and comfort, the audacity to ask, to doubt, to challenge becomes a revolutionary act. His questions, timeless in their simplicity, remind us that the pursuit of understanding requires bravery, persistence, and humility. Socrates did not defend himself merely for his own sake. He defended a principle, a philosophy, a way of being. He defended the right to doubt, the courage to question, and the freedom to think without fear. And this lesson resonates even more profoundly today. In the age of cancel culture, the cost of questioning can be public humiliation, social exile, or digital erasure. Yet the act of questioning, the act of refusing to accept assumptions unexamined, is what keeps society alive, intellectually and morally. Consider the ordinary people in our world, pausing from their screens, looking up, and thinking. They are the inheritors of Socrates' legacy. They wrestle with difficult questions, seek understanding amid noise, and confront the uncomfortable truths that algorithms and trending topics often bury. In these quiet acts, there is hope, hope that curiosity will not die, hope that reflection will outlast reaction, and hope that wisdom can survive even in a world that prizes outrage over understanding. Socrates' courage was not loud or performative. It was steadfast. It was patient. It was deliberate. He knew that true impact does not rely on applause or approval, but on the persistent illumination of truth. And so, even if society today might crush his voice under the weight of judgment, his questions would continue to echo in the minds of those willing to think, to reflect, and to dare to say, "I might be wrong." Perhaps the lesson is not whether one man can survive, but whether we, as a society, are willing to survive inquiry itself. Can we bear the discomfort of not knowing? Can we embrace reflection over reaction? Can we allow space for doubt, dialogue, and growth? Socrates' life, and ultimately his death, compels us to confront these questions, to ask them of ourselves, our communities, and our culture. And in the end, perhaps that is what it means to be truly human. To face uncertainty with courage. To confront ignorance with curiosity. To pursue understanding even when it is inconvenient, challenging, or dangerous. Socrates' questions were never about comfort, they were about awakening. And if we listen closely, we may hear them still, reminding us that the freedom to doubt, the courage to question, and the humility to reflect are not merely philosophical ideals, they are the very essence of what it means to live thoughtfully, consciously, and meaningfully. This is the Great Question Project. A journey not to provide answers, but to awaken the questions that reside within each of us. In a world saturated with certainty, trending opinions, and instant judgments, the courage to ask, to pause, and to reflect has become a rare and precious act. Every thought, every doubt, every challenge to convention is a spark, a reminder that understanding is not delivered to us fully formed, but emerges through inquiry, dialogue, and introspection. Perhaps Socrates would not survive in our modern age. Perhaps the storm of hashtags, comment sections, and digital outrage would silence even his fearless questioning. And yet, that is precisely why his presence, real or imagined, matters now more than ever. Because his courage was never for himself, it was for society. For the freedom to doubt. For the courage to question. For the humility to admit, "I do not know." These are not just philosophical ideals, they are human imperatives. Look around the world today. Voices are silenced, not by law, but by collective judgment. Opinions are suppressed, not by debate, but by outrage. And yet, the spark of curiosity persists. In quiet classrooms, in silent imprisoned. Questions cannot be censored. Inquiry cannot be eradicated. We are challenged now to ask ourselves, what do we value more, the comfort of certainty, or the courage to explore the unknown? Do we seek to protect our fragile assumptions, or do we dare to hold up a mirror to ourselves, even when the reflection is uncomfortable? Socrates' legacy reminds us that the essence of humanity is not in always being right, but in always striving to understand. It is not in the applause we receive, but in the questions we are brave enough to ask. So perhaps the final lesson is not whether Socrates could survive today, but whether we, as individuals, as a society, can survive the discomfort of curiosity. Can we listen before we label? Can we reflect before we condemn? Can we dare to entertain doubt, even when certainty is easier? The questions are ours to carry, ours to wrestle with, and ours to pass on. Because the pursuit of understanding is endless, and the courage to ask endures across centuries. This is the Great Question Project. A space where we do not hand you answers, but open the door to exploration. Where every inquiry, every doubt, every challenge is a testament to the enduring spirit of human thought. As the screen fades, remember, the questions we dare to ask today shape the understanding of tomorrow. Would Socrates survive cancel culture? Perhaps not. But the questions he inspired, those have already survived. And they will continue to challenge, to awaken, and to illuminate long after the likes and shares fade.